Good. Welcome everyone to the Cranky Report.
We're not cranky.
We're not cranky. Well, maybe I am a little bit. We are doing an authentic report every time for you, and welcome to the Astrology and Energy report that we do bi-weekly. He handles the planets, and I might say very well so, and I handle the intuitives. If you are watching this, be mindful that this is a general reading. So it's not only specifically for your star sign, and also take what resonates. I am also giving a shout out to my friend George, that sometimes he's watching our videos and he's thinking at first, I don't agree, and then later on in the weeks he does have to say that he is agreeing. And he was saying that he loves the way you speak about the planets, and that he loves our readings. So, shout out to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall I start?
Please. So, Phina, what is going on?
What is going on?
In the whole ethers?
I'll tell you, we're
coming
going
through?
insane, pretty much.
Try not to.
Really, because on world stage, well, you have seen already that a lot is going on, and there will still be a lot going on, because well, let's start then with structures and digging up that what needs to be seen. I've already pointed this out in our last reading, and it's really about purging whatever is laying dormant. That could be in our subconscious, or it could be politics, or it could be some other worldwide structure, and it is really, really necessary, because the only way for healing is to go through it. And I have to say, I'm going through it, so if you see my face a little bit differently than the last time, that's why. Hey cat. Then I have for you unsolicited advice. That's a thing, we love giving advice, but it is always nice to check in with each other, like, hey, I'm feeling something with this. Would you be open for some advice? It's the same way with healing, or someone reading your chakra system, or telling you where you are at energetically. That you can doesn't mean you should, It could land really sensitively with people, and also see in which places you give your intuitive notices. So a little bit of refining, attuning to the circumstances. The consent. Thank you for that word. The words that I forget, he says. So I'm really happy with you.
English is my first language.
Yeah, that's true. Then frustration when things don't collide. Whether that's people, or something like the internet. Like, we had a big burn of the internet system this week on the 19th, and it shows us, we've been talking about it, that it shows us how vulnerable those systems really are. And now we can work out, like, hey, which way do we want to go? Do we want to move towards a reality that is all automation? How do we want to do that? Or do we want to make it something else? So as a checking point, how do we want to go about it? And then I have showing your inner fire, because through all these tumultuous times, you've been here before, you've been through fires before, and that also raised your spirit and built charisma and built strength and stamina. So use it at this fucking time, I'm just gonna use the word. Use it at this fucking time to show your inner fire, to really show your spirit, everything you've been working on. To show it in how you present yourself, how you are showing up for the world, because we need you. We need you in your full authenticity and in your power. The world could really benefit from that instead of, like we said at the beginning, a polished version of who we pretend we want to be. This is going to fit quite perfectly. Looking past projections we have of people. It's very easy to put people on a pedestal or below you, but is that really how it is? So it's very interesting to see if you think very highly or very lowly of people, to see where they are actually at. Like, are the things you're assigning to them, is it real? Is it a fact? Or like, do you really know the person or the situation or whatever, So to be checking with yourself, because it makes you look through I need a word.
Look through the matrix, look through the illusion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the delusion that we have.
The Fata Morgana, I almost wanted to say.
What does that mean?
It's a delusion where you're in the desert and you're really thirsty. Like,
you see a mirage.
Yeah,
for sure. But it's that feeling that whatever we think is true. It's the projection of our own mind. The way our mind works is like, they're this, and you put a label on it, and that's all the farther you look.
Exactly. Right? And it's really wise for us to really look through it and see what new information you can get from that. I'm curious. Then we have accountability, to look at ourselves and our actions, and also if we want a world where we are being respected and loved and cared for, how are we showing up for other people? As a mirror for ourselves. Are we taking accountability for our actions? And if in some way we hurt someone, I feel like sorry is the most overrated fucking word there is. Acknowledge what it is you feel that you could have done differently. That would be very nice for the other person to hear. I feel personally that way. Because it's showing that you have thought about it, that you feel, and only say it if it's true, that you feel that you could have handled things differently, and then you can make an effort to show up again. And that is how you can, again, establish connection and love, So it's a different way of moving through it than we have been programmed to, because saying you're sorry, I'm sorry, it's a little bit
it's actually a 3-step process, because sorry is only one part of it, and acknowledging what happened, right, and then saying, what are you going to do different, what are you going to do about it? Those are the 3 steps. It's like, certainly saying sorry is just the beginning, but it often comes off as just a shrug and sorry, and then it just happens again.
Like an easy way to get out of it,
Yes, just moving right along.
Yeah, and let's show each other a little bit more respect than that. So accountability is a word to take with you. Then we have an interesting one: relationships and third-party situations. Yay! They might show up in your reality. And then, some people are aligned with that and they want to move with that. And if you do, that's all great. If you don't, then it's good for yourself to check in. What are your boundaries? How do you want to hold them? And it's also very important, are those boundaries respected also by the others? Because you cannot have a solid connection when your boundaries when you talk about them and they are not respected, yeah, if you figure out an alignment together and then people cross your alignment, then you get friction, you get disruption and all sorts of hurt, and that is not something that we want to bring to each other. Then we have core wounding and the purge. Well, I was already talking about on a world stage, but this is also inside. And now that I'm saying this and reading this, I'm like, I already said this, so I'm gonna go ahead. Then I also have good news, yay! Because this was the nasty stuff. Energetical shifts into a better reality. Today was a pretty significant day. Like this morning we made again a big shift, in relation to the full moon. He's going to talk more about the planets, but that's the only planet that I'm going to call out is that there is a strong energy right now to be connecting with the higher realms, the etherical realms, and to benefit from that. So when you do that, you can, if it's time for you, get some energetical shifts. And with that, things will also change. So don't be afraid if connections fall away or your living situation changes or your job changes, because things are moving around, and whatever doesn't match will fall away. What does match will stay. That is the order of, or the law of attraction. And then last but not least, I have follow your movement. We were also talking about that this week, that it is really important to keep checking in with yourself. As much as I'm reading from intuition right now, I also follow the movement as I feel it, like in the day, in the moment, in the week. Like sometimes it frustrates people, but for me it works best, because then I am moving with authenticity of the moment. That is my part, and now I'm gonna eat chocolate, and you can eat it.
Well, once again, you nailed it. You nailed it, right? There's so much there that I'd love to comment on, but the purge, first right off the bat, is, for me, that just says Pluto. Pluto's been all up in our business for weeks and weeks and weeks now. It's retrograde in Aquarius. Aquarius is all about innovation in the future and collective movements. And so Pluto just kind of got into Aquarius and then turned retrograde, is heading back towards Capricorn. So it's at 0 degrees, 1 degree of Aquarius. And it turns out that we had a sort of parade of planets just opposing it, as they each switched signs from Cancer into Leo. So we had Mercury, the moon, Venus, and now today the sun is opposing Pluto. And Pluto is all about death and rebirth, which, if you think about it, is purging. It's kind of like things come up to be cleaned up, to dealt with, to be seen. It brings the hidden up. It's the unconscious, collectively and personally. So, sort of like the sewage might have been backing up in your life in some sort of energetic way, and you've had to deal with it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Meanwhile, sun's been in Cancer, and so we've all been sort of really sensitive about it, and that's been a real challenge to kind of go through this beginning of summer with all of this upset and personal stuff. And then Mars comes and hits Uranus, right? And a lot of astrologers have been talking about this, and Uranus is that planet of sudden change, sudden left turns, plot twists, innovation, new things. Aquarius is run by Uranus, so it's all about innovation in the future, but it's also shocking. And as you probably noticed, that a lot of shocking stuff has happened in the last week or so, and we're not quite done with that conjunction yet. It's starting to fade away, but we're still going to have plenty of ripples for it. So today on the full moon, which is the second Capricorn full moon, so it's, you know, that sort of practical, sort of business earthy kind of thing going on. It's the Capricorn Cancer axis. So it's like, you know, home and business stuff coming up. And so, you know, we're kind of wrapping up this really emotional journey with Cancer, and we're heading into Leo tomorrow. On the 22nd, the sun moves into Leo, and yeah, you know, summer finally kind of gets going. All right, so maybe the weather will change. As those of you who are in the heat zone, you're already saying, what? Summer's already happening. But, you know, it's a little more expansive. It's less internal and more outward in Leo. It's ruled by the sun. And so it's really high summer, you know, and so hopefully we'll get a little bit of a lift. But first, we have to have the sun opposite Pluto. And that means, oh, more stuff is coming up. We're not quite done with the purging bit, right? I mean, Pluto doesn't go away. It's always doing some kind of aspect. It just happens to be this parade that we're dealing with. And right here on the full moon, it was kind of intense. It's like, oh, 29th degree of Cancer, and the sun hasn't quite switched over. But Mars got into Gemini just the day before on the 20th. So that started to switch the energy. Mars, you know, kind of go get it. More assertive, more courageous, finally gets out of Taurus, which is kind of like it's wading through mud and trying to get things done, and things are not quite moving as fast as you'd like, and so it could be kind of frustrated there. And then suddenly it goes into the air sign of Gemini, and it's like, oh, now we can talk about it, now we can move. That just happened yesterday. That happens to also create a trine with Pluto. So Pluto is not done with us for the next couple of days. It's going to take a few days for things to kind of start to settle into a more forwarding kind of feel, that Leo feel. So give it a few days. What else we got? Mars entered Gemini yesterday. Neptune has been also all up in our stuff. Neptune retrograde as well, Pluto retrograde. And it trined the sun. And so Neptune makes things kind of a little like hard to figure out what's exactly going on. It's a little bit vague. It's a foggy. It's too many options. It's too many things to think about. It's also easy to delude ourselves. It's the planet of deceptions. And so if you haven't been able to decide which way to go or when to go or how to get going, well, that's probably why. And so, you know, this full moon kind of like pops that bubble, but it takes some time for it to pop. So give it some time as that trine starts to move off and the sun gets clear of that. Maybe we'll be able to, you know, start to have some more clarity about which way to go forward. There's a lot going on with Pluto and Neptune for the next few years, and Uranus too. So it's going to be not like we get clear, solid answers on anything. You're going to have to get used to using your intuition, taking your best guess, fucking around and finding out, because there won't be clear answers, really, you know, except in the higher realms. That's where Neptune is always right, you know, and so if you dial back your perspective far enough, Neptune is trying to help us like see the big picture, right? So it's not like it's all bad news. What else is happening? We got Mars sextile the sun and Neptune, and sextile Neptune. So Mars is sextile to the sun and also sextile to Neptune right here on the 21st, which means Mars is getting this kind of like weird hit of a sun ourselves and Neptune not sure which way to go. So this kind of like tempting us to like push forward. We kind of get anxious. We want things to go. We got Mars and Gemini, which means our minds are kind of going crazy and saying, we need to do something. I just feel anxious. I'm ready to go. And Neptune is going, but you don't know which way to go. You're in the fog. So as you're driving down the freeway and it gets really foggy, what do? You slow down and you start looking for little signs that you're still on the road. That's what we need to do. We just need to look for little signs that we're still on the road. You can't see far down. You're just going to have to trust that we're heading in the right direction. Just stay within the lines, the dots, and slow down. a little bit. And this, just for a few days. We got another week of this, at the most. Let's see, what else happens? Mercury is square to Uranus. So Mercury, our mind, our thoughts, our ideas, is square to Uranus, which means also kind of like a little agitated. Things are seen like they're happening really fast. There's a lot going on. So the mind can feel overstimulated this early this week, especially around this full moon. We also have Venus sextile to Jupiter. So our relationships, our inner, the things that bring us joy are kind of getting this big lift from Jupiter, but it can also be frustrating because it doesn't seem like things are really working out because of all the other stuff that's happening early this week. What's really great is after the sun enters Leo on the 22nd, we get a few days like the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, where the aspects aren't really tight on anything. There's very little going on except some lunar stuff. And so it kind of gives us a little breathing space. If we can figure out how to take that sextile, Mars sextile the sun, and just chill down with it, use it for other things. I've been going out for runs and walks and exercising and writing things down and just doing conceptual stuff and not trying to try to set anything in motion for the next few days till the 26th, that's my advice, is slow down and take it easy, as hard as that's going to feel like, because you feel like there's a lot to do. There's a lot going on. It feels like, the house is on fire and you should be running around putting it out, but you don't know where the fire is. You just see the smoke, and there's a lot of smoke. And then there's a lot of news out there trying to hit your limbic system and get you into emergency mode but we don't know which way to point ourselves. We don't even know what's true right now. So that's Neptune. So it's a really good time to practice chilling down. It's been really hard for me.
I was laughing a bit.
Yeah. So, after the 26th, maybe then you can get going. But let's see, what else? The moon swings into a sextile to Jupiter on the 26th. So that sextile to Jupiter with the moon, that's the lunar aspect that is going to make us feel pretty good. That's actually a nice little aspect around the 26th. Mercury also enters Virgo, so it gets out of Leo and pops over into Virgo. It's slowing down. It's getting ready to go retrograde in about on August 4th. Actually, it's going to go retrograde. So it's kind of like got its brakes on, and so the mind thing, that buzz I was talking about, it might actually start to slow down a little bit, and that might actually be welcome. It's like, okay, let's slow down and think a little slower here. Let's do a little more meditation on what we're doing, where we're going, why we're doing what we're doing, what's true and what's not true, what is disinformation, what is just limbic hijacking that we're getting, and what is really going on. Because we all, like Phina said, we all need to get on deck. It is definitely, we're in the apocalypse, the slow apocalypse, and this is kind of what it looks like, but it breathes, it moves, right? Don't have to always be in full charge mode, because that's how you end up jumping right over the cliff or doing harm, so don't pop off too soon here. Let's see, Mercury enters Virgo. What else? Chiron is also turning retrograde, and Chiron is the wounded healer. Mm-hmm. So we've got this slowing down and stopping of Chiron, and starts to go back over a few degrees over the next 6 months, 8 months or so. And then it comes forward and starts getting into new territory. And it's just kind of like we get a chance to do some of the healing work that it's been blowing up in our face, right? There's been a lot going on over the last, with Chiron and Aries. And now it's going to go backwards over a few degrees in Aries and then go forward. So we get to kind of thoroughly finish up some of those things that have arisen in the last 6 months or so. And that goes on until 2025. So you got plenty of time for that. Let's see, August 2nd, Venus squares Uranus. And that's going to be really interesting. Relationships, right? Venus. So it could be that relationships might feel a little erratic. There might be some surprising changes in your relationship. You might meet somebody new. You might lose somebody old. It's all going to come out of left field because of the Uranus thing. But we have to trust that these adjustments are necessary, because things that aren't working, all of these heavy planets, Pluto, Neptune, Uranus, they all, we don't like these epic kind of events that happen in our lives. But if you dial back far enough, you realize this is necessary. This is a really, we have to go through this. And if we can just do it with as much grace as possible, we'll get through it fine. It could be good luck, suddenly we've got this, like, your Venus and Uranus could be like, win the lottery, interestingly, because right at the new moon, we have Mars is approaching Jupiter in Gemini. And so they're going to be conjuncting each other later on in the month. But right now they're not quite conjunct, but they're really getting close enough so that when we have the sun and moon together on August 4th for the new moon, they're actually sextile to Jupiter and Mars. And so, a lot of times that sextile between those planets could be like a lucky break, a lucky move. It could be like, oh yeah, you just won the lottery. But there's some subtle things going on as usual that are going to kind of balance that out. And so there's a square and a half that's going on between the sun-moon conjunction and Pluto, which means that you may win the lottery, but you'll only win $4. You get another lottery ticket. It's like, oh, it didn't quite go as big as you would have liked, because Jupiter is all about going big, right? And so it kind of like fizzles out. Still a lucky break, and you'll feel optimistic. So this upcoming full moon, new moon on August 4th, at least it'll be a feel-good one, But what I have in my notes is just don't bet the farm. You probably lose it. That's it. I've got my written report, which has a lot more details in it on Instagram and on Facebook and on my website, shivoso.com. And it's just a really busy, crazy time to be alive right now. And I know you all feel it. And I just want you to all know you're not crazy. Take it easy. Use your tools, take walks in nature. Let Neptune kind of get you to be dancing and do poetry and take walks in nature and chill out a little bit. We're gonna get things going. Things will fire up by later in the weeks, and we can kind of start moving some things. So that's my report.
Nice. And then you're going to look back and think like, that's why the rest.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's all working out perfectly, even if it doesn't feel like it's working out perfectly. And don't get too attached to outcomes, because like I said, Uranus it's like messing with Neptune and Pluto for the next 3 or 4 years. We're going through a big change without any way to really know exactly how it's going to turn out, except our faith and our principles and our dreams. It's like, hold on to those dreams. Don't get cynical. Don't give up hope.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel there is some extra triggering also for our egos, to maybe combust it a little bit so that also the light can shine on it.
Well, we're getting cracked up, It's like every time we push forward, things explode. And so there's a lot of fear out there. A lot of fear happening, and a lot of panicky kind of feeling, because everything seems to be falling apart or going wrong, or, and it all looks scary. And then because of the way humans are, we just amplify it. We're just trying to sell it, And so when I say limbic hijacking, that's what I'm talking about. It's the doom scrolling. It's the we're all going to hell in a handbasket and there's no way out.
In a handbasket.
Yeah.
I didn't know that saying.
It's hell in a handbasket, hell in a bucket, but somebody said there was going to be a handbasket involved. Haven't seen the handbasket, but it's just the news cycle. you know? And so we have to moderate that. It's not that it's not true, that they're not tragic things happening, but it's not all tragic. And that's why the walks in nature, that's why the poetry, that's why the dancing. You know, you have to give your soul a little soothing.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to panic right now and feel really hopeless, because that's kind of how we are getting controlled, you know?
That's what I wanted to say, because the moment we step into anxiety, you know, fear, depression, or lower vibrations, we also radiate that. And I say we because also we fall into those traps.
Yeah.
So, but we are the generators of those emotions. We amplify this. So, and it's not about getting away from that, but yeah, if we can work with it and if we can look at the source of it and maybe see if we can work with that to turn it around.
Yeah, the fear comes from within us, the reactivity. It's just like in a medicine journey where, you know, it's the deep, dark, scary part. And you realize if you just face it, it starts to go, that's what I was waiting for, was for you to just show up for, it's like, oh, that's not any more real than you make it, right? And you start giving it love. So this is a huge sort of shamanic journey that we're all on. And the purge,
Yep.
you know, so I just don't want people to lose hope just because we get so much fearful news. That the algorithms are really kind of screwing us over. Our minds are getting, that's where the insanity comes in. And it's not like I'm all bliss and eat out, you know, it's like, I know it's fucking horrible. This is horrific, you know, what a time to live in, but it's always equally balanced out by the yin and the yang. There's always hope. It's just harder to see. If we let ourselves get lost in fear, then we start to react and everybody loses, you know.
That's why I don't watch the news. When something really big happens, you will hear about it.
I know, isn't it crazy? It's like, wow, you don't even have to look, you know. It's like, even if you don't watch regular mainstream media, you still know instantly. I remember when the 9/11 disaster happened way back when, and I hadn't had a TV in years, you know, and I heard about it in 15 minutes. It's like, I didn't even have a radio or anything, you know, and it was like instantly, and you can feel it. You can feel it. It's like, it's crazy. You don't actually, you just need to listen to the ethers and you'll know when there's disturbance in the field. I love this. Use the force. Where did I have this in my notes? There was something about use the force, right?
The force within you.
Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, use the force, Luke. Yeah, that's, you know, the Neptune thing. It's like asking us to like let spirit guide, but it's more participatory than that. You're actually using the force to guide you because you can't see. You know, the visor's down on Luke's helmet and he's still able to. Well, that's what that mythology is all about. Is like sometimes you're going to have to just guide by gut. You're going to have to just feel it and trust. And when you really let go into it, we all know synchronicities happen, magic happens. There's a lot more going on than just the material news cycle. So
I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Follow your flow.
Follow your flow. Anything else?
Well, I could do with some more chocolate, but
okay,
maybe that's for off.
We're gonna eat chocolate after we get off the camera. So yeah, you'll probably see this on the 22nd. So the full moon will have passed, but we'll get the next one out on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Life happens.
Life happens. All right. Ciao, Bella.
See you.